What do you say? What do you know? Welcome to the Bubcast episode 18. We're double dipping this week. We got an episode coming out today. We got an episode coming out tomorrow. Because what's this weekend? It's college football conference championships. We're going to preview. I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to tell you who's winning what the final college football playoff predictions are going to be. So enjoy today's NFL one. Now, before you say anything, NFL games, Thanksgiving was a week ago. That is what it is. We're going to preview those games. We're going to preview everything that happened last Sunday, and we're going to preview this current game. And we're going to talk about tonight's Seattle at Dallas game. So, first Thanksgiving, Packers got a big win on the road against Detroit, 29-22. Jordan Love looked good. Took what Detroit's defense gave them, and scored some touchdowns. Some good game. Still out of the playoff hunt. You know, they're in it. You know, they need to win a few more games, but Green Bay looks good. So I like what I saw from Green Bay. You know, we still need a couple more good wins, but we'll see what we can do. Cowboys dominated Washington 45-10. Thank you, Dak, for getting me 40-plus in fantasy. Keep me alive in soon-to-be playoffs. Dak had 4 touchdowns. Defense had a pick 6. Washington, 10 points. Congratulations. 49ers dominated Seattle 31-13. CMC had 2 rushing touchdowns early in the first half, 114 yards. Seattle's offense struggled. I feel like they're either there or they're not. They're not real consistent. There's no run game now that Kenneth Walker's injured and Zach Charbonnet's taken over. So we'll kind of see what goes on there. Black Friday football, Dolphins beat the Jets 34-13. Jets still have no offense. Newsflash, Jets fans, Rodgers does this. He throws and he's at practice and does all this and then puts all these thoughts in your head and then he yanks them right away. So don't be shocked if he doesn't even play. And why would he want to play? Why would he play? The Jets are horrible. They're not going to get a playoff. They're playing their way out of the playoffs. Why come back to win a game week 17 for Rodgers? Whoop-de-doo. Like, he's not playing. Newsflash. I'm a Packers fan. I've had Rodgers in my life for a while. He says these things, does these things. You can't keep his word. He's not going to play. And why waste his time and your time? Jets offense still struggled, 12 first downs, 159 total yards. Their defense, you know, they can do what they need to do, but when their offense can't get one single touchdown, you know, what are they going to do? Their defense is going to eventually get torn apart. So Miami had a 99-yard pick 6. Broncos dominated the injured-riddled Browns. Joe Flacco might be our starting quarterback. Hooray! DTR was a concussion. Amari Cooper has a rib injury. We're struggling. Our defense had a bad week against Denver, and it was on the road in Denver. But, you know, I feel like Myles Garrett might have tweaked something, so we'll have to see about that. But our defense looked human, and, you know, it worries me as a Browns fan because I'm not too sure what to expect from the defense from here on out, but we'll kind of just go from there. Wilson did enough. They've won 5 straight games. I think they started 1-5. Yeah, 1-5, and they've won 5 in a row to be 6-6. So, Broncos country, let's ride. I've been wanting to say that all year, and I think it's doable to say it now, yeah. I think everything is starting to click for them. Let's not roll the parade out yet, Denver, but I like what I'm seeing. I'm seeing you get a run game, your defense can hang on, you play well at home, you don't play well on the road, so we'll see what that kind of equals out to. So, but Wilson was a game manager. He did just enough. I thought he looked good. So I think, you know, Denver has something to cheer about. Steelers hang on for a 16-10 non-offensive game. This is the first game without Canada Day or whatever that dude's name is, Canada, as our offensive coordinator. They had a 421 yards of offense. They used their tight end, Freiermuth. Keep using him. Quarterbacks who struggle or young quarterbacks need a blanket. Tight ends with a blanket. Their run game was good. Give Najee Harris more touches, you know, 12, 11 carries. You know, obviously he's not going to produce those numbers if you give him 12, 11 carries, but give him those carries. Throw it to Freiermuth. He's their blanket, and they looked good. They got a good win. They're right there with Baltimore, top of the AFC North. Can't remember the divisions. And with Cincy struggling and Brown struggling and Baltimore, you know, Baltimore won, but they still didn't look dominating. Very plain vanilla offense without Andrews, so we'll kind of see what they do. So Pittsburgh's right in the thick of it. Cincy struggles without Burrow. I mean, their season is slowly just going to the back burner. I don't blame them. They're struggling. No offense. They didn't have a run game. So continue to see Cincinnati struggle. Harris did well, like I said. Jacksonville winning a thriller, probably the second best game of the week behind Philly and Buffalo. The AFC South showdown to see who gets first place, and Jacksonville takes it 24-21 after a game-tying field goal for like 55 yards. Dinks the crossbar. Great game. Lawrence is finally starting to click. Also on my fantasy team. Thank you very much. 364 yards. He's starting to get it together. ETN didn't do too bad. He had a good amount of yards. Stroud had 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had a rushing touchdown. He's in the MVP conversation. Now, let me just say this now. If I had a vote, I'd vote for him. I think being a rookie, being with Houston doesn't have outstanding wide receivers. They don't have guys you're like, oh, he's throwing the ball to Devontae Adams. I'd give it to him. Now, here's what's going to happen. You can mark this down. You can hammer it. You can write this in your notepad. They're not going to give it to him. They're not going to give it to a rookie. They're going to give it to somebody else and have some squeak by. They're not going to give it to C.J. Stroud. If he keeps doing what he's doing, I would give it to C.J. Stroud just based on numbers alone and the team that he has. So we'll see what happens. He's not going to get it because the NFL is so political, but he has my vote, and I think he's well-deserved. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'd love to see who your MVP vote is. I probably have a few viewers. I know who they're going to say. Be a good conversation starter. Houston is for real. I think Houston can play for that division title, host a playoff game, get in as a wild card, and get some stuff done. Tank Dell, I think they've got enough to get a chance, and that would be a game winner for that organization to go from A to Z or Z to A so quickly. I think potentially having a playoff game versus what they had earlier. I think that's great for that team. And I think Jacksonville's back. I think look out for Jacksonville. I think Trevor Lawrence has ironed it out, gotten it going. So keep an eye out for both those teams. Colts survive struggling Tampa, 27-20. Taylor scores twice. He also had thumb surgery, so he is out 2 weeks. He's in my dynasty league. That is going to kill me, but he will be back for potentially the championship game, so he's out for 2 weeks with a thumb injury. Mayfield was sacked 6 times, stays in the pocket too much. Happy feet, touchdown interception. Also left the game with an injury. Not sure if he's playing or not, but I think he was questionable throughout the week. Evans had 2 touchdowns, so Minshew struggled. Indianapolis is going to struggle now that they don't have now that Taylor's out. I mean, Zach Moss can carry a good amount of carries, but I think Jonathan Taylor helped take away from the Minshew aspect of it in the passing game and gave them an extra tool per se in the running game. So the Colts are gonna, they're still in it too. I wouldn't be surprised if they were in a wild card, got in a wild card position. They've had a tough year, so keep an eye out for them. I think they're right where they need to be. Nothing too crazy. So Falcons come alive and beat the Saints. Ritter plays a game, and he's decent. 2 early interceptions, comes back from it, but looks somewhat human. Sometimes he's low, sometimes he's high. B.J. Robinson, their offensive guys just don't seem to be there, be involved. I'm not sure if it's a quarterback issue. I'm not sure how much longer Ritter will be an Atlanta Falcon. They had 228 yards for rushing, 5.6 a carry, so not too bad. Carr is still struggling with that offense. I'm not sure if it's weapons or, they got wide receivers and they've got tight ends and they've got people. It just seems like they're boom or bust. Kamara didn't do much. Olave's got a concussion. Michael Thomas, the slant king, is kind of just So I just think they're just so plain vanilla and they're kind of just roll with the punches, not really get much going type of offense. So we'll see what kind of goes on with that. New Orleans is in the worst division ever, so they can still host a playoff game, so they're still in it. Giants and Pats, I'm talking about Tommy DeVito, huh? That's all I'm going to talk about in that game is the Giants. Love Tommy DeVito, love that energy. New England, I've got some big things. Mac Jones won't be there next year. They will not fire Belichick, but they're going to draft a quarterback that Belichick can build around, not knowing how many years Belichick's got left. But Mac Jones is gone. He is absolutely, it's a boom, it's a bust. He threw for 89 yards this week against Giants. That's absolutely horrid. I think he's out. Belichick stays. They draft a quarterback with probably a 3rd pick. I mean, they're going to lose a good amount of their games. They're going to keep Mac Jones in, kind of like with the Zach Wilson situation. Why bench him for, whoever? Keep losing games. DeVito went 17 for 25, 191 and 1 tutty. Well played. Giants won back-to-back games the first time this year, so shout out, Max. Your team got back-to-back wins. Well done, my boy. Titans beat the falling Carolina. Henry had 2 touchdowns. Young had 194. Carolina needs a complete rebuild. They fired their coach, Rich, whatever his name is, and he was fired 2 years in a row before the season ended. He was fired last season before it ended and this year. Was Bryce Young the right choice? In my opinion, I don't think it was a wrong choice. I don't think there's enough weapons. I don't think there's a run game, so Bryce Young is having to do a lot more than most. He's a smaller quarterback. Let's see next year if they can get some guys, get some offensive weapons, and kind of base it off that. And I think, intentionally speaking, you cannot base 1 year off of someone, especially a rookie quarterback. If you're going to invest in someone like a rookie quarterback, second-round pick, and then immediately bail after 1 year or start setting tones on how he's going to be or how it's going to be played, why draft him? So Carolina needs to buckle up, get some guys, figure it out, keep everyone healthy, let him grow this year, let him keep playing. Believe it or not, statistically, they aren't eliminated. They're in that division where they could still host a playoff game, which is mind-boggling to me. So Carolina just needs to take a deep breath and do their thing and not worry too much about everything else. Rams dominate the Cardinals. Stafford had a season-high 4 tutties. Murray was okay. He's been back a couple weeks. His completion rate was awful, 27 out of 45. Arizona doesn't have a rushing game, and Kyler Murray can't do it all, which we've seen before. So that's also some questions in Arizona. Is Murray the answer? Are they going to draft somebody? Are they going to hang on to Murray and get the quarterback, the wide receiver for Ohio State? His name is slipping me. Wow. Marvin Harrison Jr. That wouldn't be a bad match. That wouldn't be bad. Kind of see what Arizona goes. Arizona's also got a lot to sit on, a lot to think about, so we'll kind of go from there. Chiefs beat the Raiders 31-17. They were down 14-0, came back and won. Mahomes had 2 touchdowns. Devontae's out. Devontae needs to go elsewhere, even with Jimmy Garoppolo. He doesn't get his touches. He's not happy. It's kind of like the same situation with Stephon Diggs. Josh Jacobs needs to be the workhorse. Get him involved. They've got some wide receivers on the outside. Let O'Connell just throw the ball to those guys, Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams. Let those guys, all you got to do is throw them the ball. Throw those guys the ball, get them involved. Josh Jacobs needs to take more off of O'Connor. Feed the ball with Josh Jacobs. The Raiders were outscored 17-3 in the second half. The Raiders also got a lot going on, a lot to figure out. They're also, firing, rebuilding, moving on, doing this, doing that. So kind of see what the Raiders can do. First, the best game of the year, best game of the season. Well, best game of the week. Thank you. Eagles overtime thriller, 37-34. Josh Allen had a game of his career with 4 total touchdowns. He was the reason I lost in fantasy and couldn't clinch a playoff spot last week, and I have to wait an extra week. He had 2 rushing and 2 passing, and he had 339 yards and 81 rushing. So great game. Phillies for real, complete team. Kicked a 53-yard field goal as time expired, and held Buffalo down in the red zone, didn't let them get anything but 3 points, and then they went down and just absolutely went right down their throats and got a game-winning touchdown. Phillies for real. Phillies probably my Super Bowl favorite at the moment. That's kind of just based on overall ability. I think Jalen Hurts is that guy. He's also in my conversation for MVP, and I think the 10-1 record might be a reason why Jalen Hurts get it over C.J. Stroud, but I would, toss up between those two because record of a team is kind of hard to give someone an MVP just because, Stroud's record would be natural. What would Stroud's record be if he was with the Eagles? That kind of conversation. So something to go down. Diggs won't be around Buffalo next year. I think Diggs is out. I think Diggs will find somewhere else to play. Josh Allen is so mid. There's no run game, so Josh Allen has to do too much. And when Josh Allen does too much, he's a turnover machine. Very inconsistent. Plain vanilla offense. I think McDermott is on the hot seat. They're 6-6. The games he wins, but the games he's supposed to lose, he does lose. So don't be surprised if there's something else out of there from him. But yeah, Buffalo's got some trouble. Sorry, Bills Mafia. I smell a non-playoff or first-round loss on the road. So buckle up and just start cheering for the Sabres. Ravens beat the struggling Chargers. Their head coach is still calling the defense. I also think he is on the hot seat. Zay Flowers had 2 touchdowns. Ravens forced 4 turnovers. Chargers don't have an offense. It's hit or miss. Herbert can't get going, can't seem to get consecutive games of well played. Keenan Allen is like not even there. You don't even talk about him because he's not involved. Eckler has turnover issues. He's not as dominant. I think the coach does get fired by the end of the year. I think the Chargers are going to get rid of him and send him back to where he goes. But the Chargers are just so or meh. 4-7, they're struggling, so we'll kind of see what goes on with that. But that division they're in, they're probably not going to get in the playoffs. We're not going to talk about this game, but Bears and the Vikings in a no offensive, unwatchable, unacceptable, cheek sponge trash of the week game. 6 total combined turnovers. Fields had 2 fumbles because he carries the ball like this, like a cup of coffee. Hold it to your body, my guy. You run through the hole and you have it out like this, and it's just, of course it's going to get sweat. I'm watching both arms like, well, I would hope so that ball gets fumbled. He has it out to the and Dobbs has 4 interceptions, which I'm not shocked because Dobbs couldn't couldn't throw a birthday party. The hype between the teams he's supposed to beat, the hype behind Dobbs, and then he plays someone like the Bears, and it was awful. The best game was that fumble Ruski passed the ball laterally at the end of the game. Dilly and I were watching that. That was hilarious, just watching that go back and forth. I think Cousins is done. I think with how old he is, his injury, they don't want to pay him his Achilles. I think they move on and get someone else for the offseason. And I think Justin Jefferson's going to get traded. And I just think there's teams this year that are going to rebuild, and I don't think Justin Jefferson is going to be around. I do think he's going to play. Minnesota technically isn't eliminated, and I hope he does play because he's in my fantasy, and he'd be coming right back for playoffs. So that was last week. We're going to go ahead and go over some games this week. So we've got 49ers at Eagles. San Francisco's -3 on the road in Philly. That's crazy. Take Philly +3. Hammer that now. If you have the ability to pencil that in. San Francisco at -3 on the road is crazy. Chiefs at Packers. KC -6 on the road. Unbiased, I'd probably take KC. Green Bay does play well at home, so I don't think Green Bay might necessarily win that game, but it could be a close game. So I would take Green Bay at +6. I don't think Green Bay would win the game, but I think they would lose by a field goal, 4 points, that type of thing. See if their defense can get healthy. They have a few DBs out. Free safeties are out, so let's go from there. Broncos at Texans. Houston at -3.5. Texans at home play well. Hammer Houston at -3.5. I like the Broncos like Houston. I think that's going to be a really good game, but Houston plays well at home. I think Stroud keeps rolling. Cincy at Jacksonville on Monday night. It's going to be a good game, but Jacksonville's -8 at home. Hammer Jacksonville at -8. Why watch these games? Atlanta at the Jets, pass. Chargers at New England, pass. Panthers at Bucks, pass. Well, I'd watch the Buck aspect of it. It's a home game, so the Bucks probably win. But Carolina, I'd go to that game to watch Bryce Young play in the football. So let's go preview tonight's game. So I'm just going to kind of give you some preview of tonight's game. Seattle at Dallas. Dallas is -9. What do we say? What do we do? We hammer it. So hammer -9. I expect a big game from Dallas's offense. I expect turnovers from Geno Smith. Zach Charbonnet is going to go against a tight defensive line. I think he's going to struggle. Young guy, probably a couple fumbles. So Geno Smith needs to be a game manager. He needs to just be take it one snap at a time, one offensive possession at a time, and do his thing and not try to do too much because he's going to have to match Dak Prescott's offensive prowess. So Geno Smith just needs to be that day by possession. Can't get 14 points in one toss, that type of thing. He's got to go thing by thing, protect the ball, not throw turnovers. They're going to look for turnovers in Dallas's D. Geno Smith throws turnovers or has turnovers. This game is going to be over quickly. My prediction is 35-17 Dallas. I think Dallas is going to roll. I think Dak Prescott's going to have a game again. Hopefully for my fantasy team, I need him to do well to get into the playoffs. I see Seattle struggles on offense on the road, and I see Dallas rolling at home with a 15-game home winning streak. So that's what I'm kind of looking at. Check us on Twitter at the Bubcast _. I'm going to lay some fantasy plays for this weekend to help you get your into the playoffs or avoid the toilet bowl, Kagan, or just end up getting some last season wins, who to play, who to start. So I got put some stuff on Twitter. I'm going to be on TikTok later this afternoon. So thank you all for watching. Have a great day, and look out for tomorrow's episode as well on Friday afternoon. All right, what do you say? What do you know?